Hey guys, welcome back to the Samantha Parker Show. We're diving in because it's that time of the year where your feed is completely flooded with everybody proclaiming they are going to live their best life ever, which I think is fun. I honestly do. I think it's fun to get caught up in the energy of all of it. I think it's fun to set new intentions for the year. I think it's fun to dream bigger. And I also think it's fun to use this as a reflection time. But the thing is I believe this episode is coming out on January 5th. You're listening January 5th or later. And a lot of it is probably already worn off. I still think back to one of the funniest New Year's resolutions that I ever set. And that resolution was to stop swearing so much. I really wanted to clean up my language. I'm going to say that was roughly 12 years ago. I don't really know why. I just thought that my potty mouth was a bad thing and that I needed to do something about it. But now I'm my potty mouth is my favorite thing about myself. So just kidding. There's so many other things that top the list of favorite things about myself. But let's get into this, okay? Did you set a New Year's resolution? Did you set a New Year's goal? That is going to be the whole tone of our podcast. But you guys know I'm going to be sharing some sobriety tips for 2025 and then also letting you know how I plan to stay sober this year. Hey girl, you're listening to The Samantha Parker Show, an unhinged and insider look at the girl boss lifestyle. I'm like the best friend in your earbuds that you didn't know you've been craving. It's conversations from the girls' bathroom that are going to make you smile, inspire the hell out of you, and hype you up. You are not as crazy as you think. Life is a wild ride, and girl, I invented the roller coaster. So grab your favorite beverage and let's be unhinged together. So welcome to the show. So yes, I'm still sober. Yes, I plan to be sober in 2025. And this is how I do it. Plus, I totally do see my sobriety as the absolute biggest flex and one of my favorite goals that I've ever achieved in life. So I made a little list for you guys of some of the things that I have really done and really cemented in to make sure that being sober is easy and it's fun and it's not overcomplicated and it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something that I enjoy embodying and it's just who I am at this point. This is who I am. Do I want sobriety to take over every part of my life? Of course not. It's just one aspect out of many that I do. At the end of the day, I'm a social media manager, I'm a content creator, and I love to share my life. The Samantha Parker Show really is about some of my favorite things in life. And so that's why you guys get to hear about sobriety so much. And I am a big believer that the more that I can share, the more people can see that there's nothing wrong with them. If you've had any of these thoughts and feelings that I have had where I was there's something wrong with my drinking, it's controlling my life, it's every aspect of my life, then this is a great episode for you. I wish that I had seen more people many years ago who were speaking up and being look, I don't drink anymore. Here's why. Here's what I went through. Here's some of my behaviors. And I could see people that looked like me who would actually overcome it. Because when I was 29 years old was the very first time I thought, hey, I think I need to go to AA, but I didn't actually stop drinking until I was 39 years old. So that was 10 whole years. Social media was just really ramping up back then though. It was not as big as it is today. I would say YouTube was probably the main place, but I had no idea how to make a YouTube video then. I remember we had just moved from Salt Lake City to where I live now in St. George, Utah. And I used to watch the Bikini Body Mommy. I would watch her workouts on YouTube and I would do them in the morning. But outside of that, there wasn't much. Instagram was still a chronological feed. We were still just posting pictures, highly over edited with weird filters on them. Because we could. I was oh, look, you can change the colors, and I hadn't really capitalized on using social media for business. I was blogging at the time and that was a lot of fun. I used to blog my thoughts and feelings. And for some reason, my boss at work would always take it personal and she'd be like, oh, you're going to quit. And I'm like, why? Because I was just talking openly about my mental health struggles. So I kind of put a lid on it back then. And, it wasn't until a couple of years later where I really stepped out and I really got heavily involved in social media and started sharing my life. And it's just been a whirlwind. The last 10 years has been an absolute whirlwind, but this last chapter, these last 7 months have been my absolute favorite, but also really hard because everything that I was doing in life, celebrations, the bad times, the good times, I was doing it with alcohol. So I had to completely remove that. And that at first is hard. It is like tragic. You think your life is ending. You think that you've just had like your best friend murdered in front of you. And then you've had to go admit to a bunch of people and those closest to you that you have a problem and, you know, that you were the one who did the murdering and that you're a horrible person. And then you have to find out and slowly like backtrack and realize like, oh, I'm actually not a horrible person. And like, look at all these amazing things I'm now doing. Look at all this amazing freedom. It was like a week and a half ago, well, like 2 weeks ago, where all of a sudden I felt it. It was like a sudden shift. I have a cute little desk in my room, very, very similar to this one that I'm sitting at in the back of my office, like the back space back here where I podcast. And I was sitting at it. It's in our guest room. I was journaling. I was reading out of this book. I read from this book every morning. In fact, let me grab it because you guys might like it. It's something my sponsor gave me, my AA sponsor, and it has like a daily reading every day. Like, hold please. Here we go, because I carry it with me. It is The Language of Letting Go, Daily Meditations on Codependency, which alcohol is a codependence, which alcohol was something that I was codependent on for dealing with my life. But this is a beautiful book for like so many different types of codependency. And I think you guys will really love it. So it just has like the dates, and every day, like I read a little blurb from it. It's always really great thoughts. So right now it's the holidays. So this one today was getting through the holidays. Let me fast forward here a little bit. December 31st has affirming the good. And then if we skip ahead to the first of the year, which is where we are at now, January 5th, accepting help. I love that. I'm going to read you guys just a little snippet from the bottom, okay? Usually it's just like short paragraphs. It's never longer than like a page, but I read this and then I journal. So today, God, help me let go of my need to do it alone and my belief that I am alone. Help me tap into your divine power and presence and your resource for love, support, and friendship. So anyways, you know, I was reading my thought of the day, and all of a sudden it was like this fog. You know, maybe we could describe it as an awakening. I have no idea. But it was like I could feel this fog just like coming off of my brain. It was like these cobwebs are being scooped out. And I could see so many things so clearly. And I'm not talking about vision. I'm more talking about like direction, choices, my thinking, like my cognitive ability suddenly shifted. And I was like, oh my God. I spent the next like 2 days mapping out spreadsheets. It was very like hyperfixated for sure, but I was mapping out spreadsheets. I had like a whole doc of like things that needed to happen in my business. Again, you guys, I run a business, you know, I've got people who count on me. I'm in a very creative field. I have to stay very on top of what's going on in social media, but it's like all of a sudden everything was clicking and snapping into place. And it was like the depression had been lifted from me as well. And, you know, it was like, God or the universe, you guys can take whatever words I use and put your words in them. But it was like God was directly impacting me and giving me my life back. It was like I had all this depression suddenly being removed from my body because I would constantly cycle into these depressive episodes where it was really, really hard for me to get out of bed. And when I say that I was a high functioning alcoholic, I am like high functioning whatever, like high functioning depression, high functioning bad days. I will still force myself to get up. But I really, really struggled. I know this is something that a lot of people haven't seen. I feel like I have been open with my mental health and my mental health struggles, but really like you were only seeing the tip of the iceberg. You know, a lot of days I was forcing myself to get out of bed. A lot of the days I would find myself crying in the shower, in the closet. There's so many people in my life that have like no idea. But I can tell you, I felt this being like lifted out of my body, out of every cell, and suddenly I could see things clearly. And I have had people tell me that there's a point in their sobriety when all of a sudden they wake up and it might not be as instantaneously, I love big words, you guys, as what I'm describing. And I think there was a buildup, of course. There was 7 months of detoxing this poison from my body, you know, gaining clarity, spending time praying and really working on myself. But in that moment, I could tell that all of that hard work was paying off. And I really do see that as a blessing and a gift. So how am I maintaining my sobriety? That is a big driving force for me. If you have just gotten sober or you're thinking about it, I'm freaking living proof Like, this is my like ultimate testimony right here that when you ditch alcohol, there will be a point down the road where all of a sudden everything changes for you. And, you know, I'm not saying like I'm waking up in a Disney fairy tale. I'm just saying that like all of a sudden my thoughts are clear. My vision is clear. The vision I want for my life seems more than capable. I don't feel like I'm on this roller coaster. And I do know that I'm going to have bad days, you guys. But I'm telling you, there's been a major shift. You know, I've had people stop me and they're like, oh, you just look like you're glowing. And that's how I fucking feel, okay? To my core. Anyways, back to my tips. That's not enough for you guys. I don't know what is. I think, you know, really, I know I said I was getting back to my tips, but I like to side talk. I'm like, woo, now I'm over here. Now I'm over there. But it all comes together like a beautiful story. I am a weaver of tells. I really do think some of the issue is when you first stop drinking, like you're craving it so hard. And again, I was dependent on it. Like I had a codependent relationship with alcohol. It was my comforter. It was my celebration. It was like my warm, snuggly blankie. It was everything to me. But at the end of the day, it left me crying and miserable. But I think the issue is when you first remove that, right? It's like, let's say like you have a heated blanket and it's wintertime. When you first take it off, even if like the bedroom is warm, this is based on a true story of myself here. I like to put my heating pad in and like warm up my spot. When you first like remove that, like take it off because it's too hot to sleep with, I'm like, oh my God, it's so cold in here. But I'm still in a warm house. My house is like anywhere between like 66 degrees and 68 degrees. But instantly in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I'm freezing. It's so cold. Like, what's happening? But then I sit there and I'm like, you're perfectly fine. Like your spot is all toasty warm. Your house is warm. Like you have shelter. Like you're perfectly fine. It is not going to freeze in here and you're going to make it through the night quite warm and toasty. But when you remove alcohol, like you take that warm blanket off of you, that comfort, that's how you feel. You're like, oh my God, what is happening to me? I don't have that support and that comfort that I need. And once you get away from it, like even further and further away from it, the further away I get from it, the more I can see this. It is a gift. But at first it's kind of painful, you know, and your body is also dependent on it. Even if you're not drinking a ton, you will have like those cravings and you will have a little bit of the withdrawal when you quit alcohol. Your body will want to think about it. I mean, people have all kinds of addictions. You know, people are addicted to nicotine, to food, to porn, whatever it is, but your mind gets like obsessive over it and hyper focused on it. And when you remove it, your brain is like, no. That was like my feel good. That was my pleasure. That was my dopamine. What the fuck am I going to do without it? Which is so interesting to me because all of these behaviors are so horrible for us. So you just got to give it time. You got to do the work. You know, everyone knows why they don't have six-pack abs. It's because they haven't put in the work. I know why I don't have six-pack abs. I do abs like once a week and I'm like, I'm dying, you know? Like we all know. I remember when I was younger, like a teenager, Usher was a big deal back then. He thinks he's a big deal now, but he's not. I actually just ran into him at Disneyland. True story. My sister and I were recently at Disneyland in the fall and we were walking past the teacups and all of a sudden this large man, very large bodyguard man, just throws an entire like arm in my sister's face. Like she gets like a whole face, like arm to the face. And she's like, what the F, excuse me? And it was like Usher's bodyguard and they were like pushing him through the crowd. And I'm like, you could just walk through the crowd like the rest of us. I was like, what a dick. But anyways, back in my day, Usher was the bomb. Now I'm like, okay, that was a little entitled. Like you could wait for the crowd to part like everyone else. We were just walking through the area. You know, man's just doing his job, whatever. But Usher published this like routine. I want to say it was in like a People magazine type of vibe. It was his ab routine and the amount of like crunches and things he was doing to have these abs was insane. Like it's something like 4,000 a day. Like I'm not even shitting you, plus the diet, plus like all the other stuff. And so why don't I have Usher abs or why do none of my friends have Usher abs? For that reason. Okay. Like we all know why we haven't achieved the goals and things that we want because a lot of us aren't willing to put in that work. We're not willing to do the 4,000 crunches a day. I'm not. But a lot of us aren't willing to put down the drink. We're not willing to let go of that warm blanket and that warm, snuggly, codependent vibes. Okay, for reals though. some of my tips and some of my things that have really helped me maintain my sobriety and keep seeing it as a gift. I've got a few points here for you guys, but really number one right there at the top, it goes along with abs, it's working out. I have learned to really fall in love with my body and how capable it is. I keep having these weird, like out of body moments where like I look down at my body and I'm like, wow, how cool is it that I have hands and legs? And it's like I'm discovering myself as an adult for the first time. And it's kind of wild, but you guys know I fell in love with running this year. Running saved my life. You don't have to run. You do whatever you want to do. That's what helps Samantha, but really like working out. So maybe you're walking, go to the gym. I really encourage you to try new things. All the time on TikTok, people are asking me like, well, what do you do instead of drinking? Because you guys, those first few like weeks, days, months, even hours, moments, like especially like, let's say you always drink on Thursdays. This is me here. I was big into Thirsty Thursday. And when I removed that alcohol, like I would get itchy on Thursdays. Itchy is just that vibe where I'm like, I start getting agitated. I'm like annoyed and I don't know what to do with myself. And I'm like, that's because that was my drinking time. So what do you do? That's the common question I get. I'm like, go try new things. You know, I recently went and tried a new yoga place here. I wanted to take a class that they had. The first class was free. And I've even gone a few more times. They're charging me like $8 to drop in here and there. Like, go try new things. Go try a spin class. Go try a HIIT workout. You know, go hit up a gym on a buddy pass. Like, you know, you don't have to go out and buy all these memberships or anything, but like maybe just like push yourself to try new things. There's a climbing gym here where I live that's pretty new. You know, maybe you want to take up climbing, go roller skating. Like, just go try things, you know? There's lots of introductory offers. And again, it is that time of year too. So if you do like go try something and you love it, you're probably going to get hooked up with that new year, new you deal. But move your body, fall in love with your body, work out, fall back in love with taking care of you. Okay. And then number two is I really openly talk about how proud I am of this. I really openly talk about why I don't drink. I've made it my whole personality on my personal TikTok page. I talk about it a lot on this podcast because like I was saying at the beginning, it really, really helps for other people to hear from people just like them. So openly talk about it, you guys. And of course, like, you know, if people aren't safe to talk to about it, or maybe they're like you and they need to stop drinking, they'll kind of push you away. I've had this happen quite a bit where I'm like, why is that friend being like that? And I'm like, oh, because they're not willing to see their own problems. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm just going to be over here doing me. But when people ask me about it, I talk about it. I share it wherever I feel called to share it. And I don't keep it as this dirty, dirty secret. But my podcast listeners know, if you've listened to the episode Hungover, when I came out of like my whole sobriety closet and I was like, I've been sober for 8 weeks and it's really, really hard to talk about. That was hard. And now I realize that that like wasn't helping me at all, but that was the time I needed to take. So take the time you need to take and then get out there and talk about it because it's not a dirty secret. Someone else needs the help too. Okay. And then next, I have lots of fun drinks in the house. Like so much fun drinks. Cause that was my thing with alcohol is I love pretty glasses. I love fun drinks. Right now I'm thinking of this pink vodka that I used to like, and it's not that one that you guys are probably all thinking of. It was something else. It was kind of bougie. And that's the kind of stuff that I really, really enjoyed. It's funny. Like I started to think about it. So then my mouth was trying to recall the taste and then my stomach just did like a little bit of a hurl, which is kind of funny. I'm like, no. Don't worry about it. We're not putting that in. But I have tons of fun drinks. Recently, the Smith's by our house, which is like a Kroger grocery little chain, if you guys are familiar with Kroger, but they do their soda sell. And so their soda was buy 2, get 3 free. And I went in and was like, what are some new things that we can try that are sugar-free? And there was like tons of new flavors, you know, especially around the holidays. There's like some cool stuff. I've been trying to find the sugar-free 7-Up. That's a Shirley Temple. Have not been able to find it yet, but there's fun stuff. Like go try fun things. Again, at the same Smith's, there's an entire like aisle. It's beautiful too. Like I swear to God, it's beautiful. It's like glass cases and the drinks are all perfectly lined up, but it's like poppies and like all the non-alcoholic stuff, like all of that. So I have lots of fun stuff in my house. I have tons of fun, like mocktail syrups and things like that. I love Tipsy Cocktail Supplies. You guys have heard me talk about them because on all of their bottles, they will have a mocktail recipe along with the cocktail recipe. So love mocktails. I'll even just put like some of the syrup in sparkling water. It's phenomenal. It's fresh and it's amazing. But I have lots of fun drinks on hand. I still have all my fun glasses. I have a ton of vintage glasses. It was something that like I just like to collect. And I'm like, let's bust these out and use them. Okay. And then I go to meetings. I go to AA and I work the steps. I did not work the steps for the first like 5 months. So I've only been working them for a couple of months now. And the jump from me just getting by, being sober, trying to do my best, you know, sharing my journey with you guys to now is wild because I started working the steps. And I think a lot of it is, you know, when you work the steps, you have a sponsor. So you have this person who like has been where you have been and they fucking care about you. Like they really genuinely want to help you. And that like floored me at first. I was like, this amazing woman just wants to like come in and help me. And I think that's incredible. I am the chair of my women's group. Somehow or another, I got like put in as chair. And so I'm doing that right now. And it's a lot of fun. But I go to meetings and I work the steps. You guys, I have done so much self-development work prior to this. Cause again, you guys, I was always looking for something to make me feel better. You know, if you go back and listen to past episodes, I have tripped balls in a mud hut with a shaman. I have gone to Tony Robbins. I drank that crack Kool-Aid. I walked on fire. I've gone to Deepak Chopra events, Gabby Bernstein. Like I've done it. Like I've done a ringer of stuff, and working the steps completely changed my life completely. Okay. And the other thing too, you guys, is I really honed in on like an AM routine and a PM routine. And I have been pretty strict with my AM routine in the past. And it was kind of wild. Like it was really helping me move forward in my life. I scrapped it. A lot of times it was hard to get up in the morning. You know, I'd be doing that wake up where I was like, how hungover am I? And then I was always super happy. I'm like, wait, I didn't drink the night before. Or I'd be like, oh shit, this is bad. Or, you know, like a little tinge of a headache. I was always doing that evaluation and I don't have to do that anymore. But if I did come back from that evaluation with, I don't feel like I had too many drinks. Like, what did I do? I would numb out on social media, which spiraled into a depression hole. You know, alcohol is a depressant at its core. And so what was I doing? I was just throwing gasoline on this trash can fire all the time. But now I have a pretty good AM routine. Like I mentioned, I get up, I go to the gym. Right now I'm having to run indoors. I've been doing a little bit outdoor running when I can later in the day. I'll run, I lift weights. I have an amazing gym partner, which actually my friend Cody, he came about as my like workout buddy through the sobriety journey. He's not sober, but he told me, you know, we've been friends for a while, but we never really worked out together or anything like that. And he's like, I was just watching you consistently show up even through like what you were going through. And he was like, I want a piece of that. I'm coming with you. I still remember the first time he asked me to run with him, or he asked to come run with me. And I was like, no, I don't run with people. Like, this is my thing. He's like, where are you going to be tomorrow? I'll be there. And that's changed my life. So I'm so grateful to him. That's the other thing too, is when you commit to something, you know, this is for all my manifesting girlies and all you people out there listening, and my manifesting guys. Manifesting is just not for the girlies. But once you commit to something and you start showing up for yourself, God and the universe will align the right people and the right circumstances into your life. And then it will also remove them. I had someone recently come into my life like a tornado, and it was amazing. It like really got me jump started on some projects for work. And then I realized like God just reached down, plucked them out, and was like, okay, they're done now. They're moving on. And I was like, oh, okay, we're done. But like, thank you. That was great. It was also time to move on. Like, thank you for help with that project. So once you commit, everything kind of rolls in. And the other thing too, create like a really strong night routine for yourself as well. I have found myself like the last month or two, I was like over scrolling at night. And then I was thinking, you know, me and my husband like never talk anymore or do anything. And I'm like, well, it's because I'm rolled on my side, like scrolling on my phone. So I was like, I got to get a better night routine going. You know, if something's annoying you, step back for a minute and look at the core of like what's actually bothering you and fix it. You know, I was like, hey, I'm going to turn my phone over, set my alarm, turn it over, and like actually have conversations. Like, oh, duh. It's really easy to get sucked into things really fast, and it's super easy to fix them as well. Just have to have some awareness. Okay. And then last but not least, have strict boundaries. I have people blocked I do have my daughter's dad blocked to my phone, and I have for quite a few years. My daughter, you know, is an adult. and there just wasn't a reason to communicate with him anymore. It's very, very toxic. And I was like, block. We haven't been together since I think I was like 20 years old, and I'm 39. I know I say that a lot. Don't worry. When I turn 40, I'll be like, I turned 40, guys. I'm so excited for my 40th birthday. But I have had him blocked for a lot, but this is the first time outside of that I've actually physically blocked people's number in my phone, and it kind of sucked, but I had to do it for my own mental health. So set boundaries. And if you need to, hit block. I just couldn't look at my phone and see that anymore. I just couldn't look down and be like, oh, who's mad at me today for simply existing, or whatever was going on. Block people on social media, say no to things. I still get invited to a lot of things, and it's not that I don't trust myself to go out. You're just different. You're just different. So I only say yes to things that are really, really going to bring me joy. And I go to events all the time where there's alcohol. So to me, it's not about if there's going to be alcohol there or not. I just went through the holidays. We just had a major Christmas party that was so fun. There was alcohol there. I had family over for dinner. There's alcohol there. We threw my cute cousin a bachelor and bachelorette party. We did a little joint party. There was alcohol there. I still had so much fun being there because I was super excited to be with some of my favorite people, So that's not really where my boundaries are at. There have been certain times where I'm like, I just don't feel like being around that or doing that. And I protect my peace, but we should all be doing that anyways. But you on this journey, be strict with those boundaries, because your sobriety matters so much. Because not only does it matter to you, it matters to the people directly in your life. I can't even fathom where some of my relationships would be. Well, here's the thing is, they've gotten so amazing, some of these relationships in my life, especially with my parents. So I have two sets of parents, I've got a stepdad, stepmom, mom, and dad. And I'm watching those relationships transform in real time. And it's amazing. My relationship with my daughter, she's, again, like I said, she's an adult. My 13-year-old son, it's beautiful. It's beautiful what's unfolding in my life. And without sobriety, I wouldn't be here, because that's the only thing that's changed is I removed the alcohol, and therefore I changed. And it's so fucking amazing. I just got a little mushy for sure. So for 2025, I've got big dreams, big goals. I already made my goals way mid-December. I was like, I know what I want Q1 to look like. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm headed, and I'll keep adding to it. But the vision is clear, and it's amazing. Oh, this is fun too. Every year I always choose a word of the year. So my word of the year this year is easy, which I was kind of joking around with a friend. She picked her word of the year as bloom. It's so beautiful. And I was like, oh, mine's easy. And then I said, maybe we should go get tattoos. I have a lot of tattoos. I love tattoos. And then I was like, wait, I'm not going to tattoo easy on myself. And I was like, maybe I should just slap the word easy right on my ass. I was like, I'm not tattooing easy, but I really want this year to feel so easy that it was when I look back, when I'm sitting here talking about 2026 and I look back, I'm like, damn, that just unfolded in perfect timing. It unfolded in God's timing. I took action when I needed to. I rested when I needed to. And it was so easy, period. Last year, you guys, you know what word of the year I picked? For 2024, I picked devotion, and it was devotion to self, which is funny. So I put devotion, and I just had little parentheses, and I was like, devotion to self, because I really wanted to focus on myself. I'm like, did I fuck myself there? I went on a wild ride. So when you pick your word of the year, make sure you are ready to live it and embody it. It was funny because that word came through clear as day. I was on my Peloton and I was riding and I was sweating, and I heard this clear voice in my head, and it was like, your word of the year will be devotion for 2024. And then I just started vibing with it. And then I was like, again, I heard your word of the year will be devotion to self. And I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, do I start praying to myself, worshiping myself? But I just went with it. Wild year. Took up running, ditched alcohol, and here we are. So thank you guys for being here. Let me know. Pop on to Instagram or TikTok, The Samantha Parker Show on TikTok. My Instagram is The Samantha Parker. If you picked a word of the year, please tell me. Please tell me I'm not the only crazy one. And you know what? I'll see you next week.